and I'm the chair of the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee. Today is Monday, November 16th, and I will start by calling roll before we have a motion to proceed. Council Lady Allen. Benedict.
Present.
Bradford.
Present.
Cash.
Present.
Evans. Gamble. Hager. Hall.
Present.
O'Connell. Parker.
Present.
Rutherford.
Here.
Stiles.
Present.
Toombs. Van Reese.
Hello. Present.
Welch.
Present.
Withers.
Present.
All right, motion. I am motioning that pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order 65 regarding electronic meetings, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Councilman Withers.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. Roll call. Allen. Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans. Gamble.
Aye.
Hall.
Present.
O'Connell. Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles.
Aye.
Toombs. Van Reese. Welch.
Aye. Oh,
Withers.
Welch and I said aye at the same time, so I think you're good.
I've got you. Motion passes. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is Larry Hager. I'm on.
I got you. Don't worry. I see you.
Thank you.
I'm going to run through the consent agenda items. Let me know if something needs to come off consent. We have item number 2 on consent, item number 3 on consent, item number 4 on consent. Item number 5 is not on consent. Item number 7 is on consent. Item 8 is on consent to defer one meeting. Item number 9 is on consent. Item number 10 is on consent. 11 is on consent. 12 is on consent. 13 consent. 14 consent. 15 consent. 16 consent. 17 consent. 18 consent. 19 consent. Let's just say, let's see here, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32 are all on consent. Is there anything that needs to come off consent? Hearing none, I will take up reading for the next 45 minutes our consent agenda. Just kidding, I'll try to go faster than that. Okay, item number 2, RS 2020-649, Toombs Murphy Nash approves an amendment to an agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for improvements on Jefferson Street. Item number 3, RS 2020-650, Roberts Murphy and Nash's abandons additional easement rights for 5 properties located at 4427 Michigan Avenue, formerly a portion of an unnumbered alley. Item number 4, RS 2020-651, Taylor Murphy and Nash amends ordinance number BL 2019-1565 as amended to authorize the Metro government to modify previously accepted sanitary sewer main and an additional sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements, and update map and parcel information for properties at 600 and 640 21st Avenue North is on consent to be approved. Bills on second reading. Item number 7, BL 2025-10, abandons existing easement rights located at 220 Riverside Drive, formerly a portion of Barclay Drive. On consent to be approved. Item number 8, BL 2025-11, Murphy and Nash, abandons existing easement rights for properties located at 4100 Aberdeen Road, formerly a portion of Mockingbird Road. On consent to be deferred one meeting. Item number 9, BL 2025-12, Roberts, Murphy and Nash, abandons existing easement rights located between Louisiana Avenue and Tennessee Avenue, formerly a portion of 50th Avenue North, now located at 4915 Louisiana Avenue and 4912 Tennessee Avenue. Item number 10, I'm sorry, that last one was on consent to be approved. Item number 10, BL 2025-13, Taylor, Toombs, Murphy and Nash, authorizes Metro Water and Sewer Services to provide public water service improvements for Alta Foundry LP proposed development, as well as other existing properties in the area, on consent to be approved. Item number 11, BL 2025-14, Henderson, Murphy and Nash, abandons an existing sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements, and to accept new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements for 3 properties located at 3916, 3920, and 3922 Cross Creek Road. Bills on third reading. Item 12, BL 2020-195, Sepulveda, changes 6.06 acres from RS to SP zoning on property located at 4306 Goins Road to permit 121 multifamily residential units. There's a proposed substitute, and both are on consent to be approved. Item number 13, BL 2020-256 by O'Connell and Murphy, makes provisions to 8.19 acres of a historic preservation district overlay to various properties located along Clinton Street from 16th Avenue North to 12th Avenue North, on consent to be approved. Item number 14, BL 2024-18 by Councilman Hall, changes 23.34 acres from SP and RS15 to SP zoning for properties located at 4269 Ashland City Highway and Ashland City Highway unnumbered, approximately 830 feet east of Stewart's Lane, to permit up to 100 residential units, on consent to be approved. Item number 15, BL 2024-70, Van Rees, Hancock, and Benedict, applies 327 acres of a corridor design overlay district to various properties along Gallatin Pike. Item number, that's on consent to be approved. Item number 16, BL 2024-71 by Sledge, changes 0.23 acres from CS and R6 to MULA and NS zoning for properties located at 1119 and 1123 3rd Avenue South, on consent to be approved. Item number 17, BL 2020-472 by O'Connell and Murphy, changes 0.29 acres from CS to MULA NS excuse me, zoning for property located at 1033 12th Avenue North. That's on consent to be approved. Item number 18, BL 2020-473 by Toombs, changes 0.44 acres from RS10 to R6A zoning for properties located at 2825 Old Buena Vista Avenue, on consent, Old Buena Vista Road, on consent to be approved. Item number 19, BL 474 by Withers, changes 7.97 acres from IWD to MUGA zoning for properties located at 1106 Davidson Street and 690 Davidson Street, on consent to be approved. Item number 20, BL 2020-475 by Councilman Roden, changes 3.56 0.57 acres from RS15 to MULA zoning for properties located at 3728 Central Pike and Central Pike unnumbered at the western terminus of Dobson Chapel Lane. There's a proposed substitute and both are on consent to be approved. Item number 21, BL 2020-476 by Councilman Young, changes 2.93 acres from R10 to CS zoning for properties located at 2364 Gallatin Pike. On consent to be approved. Number 22, BL 2020-477 by Council Lady Benedict, applies 13.04 acres of a contextual overlay district to properties located at various addresses along Rosecliff Drive, approximately 160 feet east of Preston Drive. On consent to be approved. Item number 23, BL 2020-476 by Councilman Sledge, changes 0.41 acres from IWD to MUGA NS zoning for properties located at 1021, 1023, and 1025 8th Avenue South. On consent to be approved. Item number 24, BL 2020-480 by Council Lady Toombs, changes 0.21 acres from RS 7.5 to R8 zoning for properties located at 2020 Monticello Drive. On consent to be approved. Item number 25, BL 2020-481 by Withers, changes 2.38 acres from RM20 to MUGA zoning for properties located at 407 South 4th and Street and South 5th Street unnumbered at the northwest corner of South 5th Street and Shelby. On consent to be approved. Item number 26, BL 2020-482 by Council Lady Van Reese, changes 10.44 acres from R10 to CS zoning for properties located at 619 West Due West Avenue and Creative Way unnumbered, approximately 70 feet south of West Due West Avenue along the east side of Interstate 65. On consent to be approved. Item number 27, BL 2020-483 by Councilman Young, changes 2.01 acres from RS 7.5 to RM4-NS zoning for property located at Edgemead Boulevard unnumbered, approximately 440 feet east of Gallatin Pike. On consent to be approved. Item number 28, BL 2020-484 by Councilman Roden, changes 3.04 acres from R8 to MULA zoning for properties located at 4011, 4017, and 4028 Dodson Chapel Road. There's a substitute and both are on consent to be approved. Item number 29, BL 2020-485 by Council Lady Hancock, cancels 4.51 acres of a planned unit development overlay district for properties located at Forest Park Road unnumbered, approximately 250 feet north of Laner Drive. On consent to be approved. Item number 30, BL 2020-486 by Councilman Sledge, changes 0.41 acres from CS to SP zoning for properties located at 1108, 1110, and 1114 4th Avenue South to permit non-residential uses. It is on consent to be approved. Item number 31, BL 2020-488 by Councilman Hager, changes 13.20 acres from R10 to SP zoning for properties located at 725 Tulip Grove Road and a portion of property located at 703 Tulip Grove Road to permit 58 multifamily residential units. There's an amendment and both are on consent to be approved. Item number 32 is BL 2020-489 by Council Lady Roberts. It changes 0.48 acres from R8 to SP zoning for properties located at 6001 and 6003 O'Brien Avenue to permit 7 multifamily residential units. That is on consent to be approved. That is the end of our consent agenda. Councilman Withers.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move approval of the consent calendar.
Thank you. I will second our motion there, and we will roll call this. Council Lady Allen.
I wanted to take one thing off consent. I apologize.
Oh,
I was late coming in.
Berkeley, after 45 minutes of me reading, you're going to do this to me.
You did such a great job. My hand has been raised the entire time.
Sure. What would you like to bump?
I just have a question on BL 2022-56, if that's okay.
What number? Is that number 13? Okay, we can bump that from. Is it a quick question?
Yes, probably so.
Is Councilman O'Connell with us?
He is with us.
I am, and I was actually also raising my hand just before you got on your roll to bump this from consent anyway.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so Councilman O'Connell, would you like to bump it?
Yes, let's bump that. And then I also had a quick question about item number 2.
Okay, item number 2 is bumped.
Yeah, and just this might be a point of information or point of order question.
Okay.
That says location District 2, but
Yes.
Jefferson Street, I believe, is split between Districts 19 and 21, and I don't believe the location in that item is in District 2, so I just wanted to get departmental confirmation on that to make sure I'm not missing something.
Is there someone from a department that can confirm that on the call? Or Council Lady Toombs, can you identify if that is not your district?
Chair, no part of Jefferson Street is in District 2.
Okay, then we should bump that from consent then, because I think that is an incorrect location.
I think that is a good idea. Again, I got this calendar late today and was without internet for a while, so I'm just relying. I did not.
I blame you, Madam Chair.
I'll take it personally, Councilman. All right, with that, Councilman Bradford, do you have something to bump?
Not so much bump. I just was wondering if, for the record, there's a few substitutions and amendments. If just for the record, we could have someone explain what those are and what they do.
I've put the substitutes and amendments on the consent in order to, if you need them all explained, we would have to bump all of them.
Okay.
Would you like to bump all of those from consent?
Yes, if please.
Okay, so that means we are now bumping item 12 is bumped. Item 20 is bumped. Item 28 is bumped. Item 31 is bumped. And that's it. Now you realize, Councilman Bradford, that all of those will be roll call votes now. Double for the substitute, for the amendment, and for the bill as substitute or amended.
Understood.
Just so everybody is aware, that is Councilman Bradford's request, and they are bumped from consent. Councilman Bradford, if that is it, put your hand down. Anyone else? I'm seeing Councilman Hall, your hand is up.
I'm sorry, that was from the very beginning, just so when we were taking roll.
Cool. Pull it down, please. Council Lady Evans.
Thanks. I just wanted to be recorded as being here. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay. With that, I will re-announce what is left on consent and ask and make that motion for Mr. Withers to second. So we now are down to item number 3 is on consent. Item number 4 is on consent. Item 5 is not on consent. Item 6 is not on consent. Item 7 on consent. Item 8 to defer 1 meeting, consent. Item 9, consent. Item 10, consent. Item 11, consent. Item 12 has been bumped. Item 13 has been bumped. Item 14 stayed on consent. Item 15, consent. Item 16, consent. Item 17, consent. Item 18, consent. Item 19, consent. Item 20 is bumped. 21, consent. 22, consent. 23, consent. 24, consent. 25, consent. 26, consent. 27, consent. 28 is bumped. 29, consent. 30, consent. 31, bumped. 32 is on consent. Is there anything else you'd like to bump, Mr. Bradford?
Good to go.
Thank you. Mr. Withers, will you please second our motion?
Chair, I'd like to second the motion for the revised consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there any other motions before I enjoy our roll call? With that, Alan,
Yay.
Benedict,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Cash,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Gamble,
Aye.
Hager,
Aye.
Paul, Chair votes aye. O'Connell,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Rutherford,
Aye.
Stiles,
Aye.
Toombs,
Aye.
Van Reese,
Aye.
Welch,
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
With that, our consent agenda passes. Item number 2, RS 2020-649 by Toombs, Murphy, and Nash. This I've already read into the record, and what I am assuming, Mr. O'Connell, would we like to defer this one meeting so we get the proper district sponsor?
I mean, I guess it could potentially be amended, but I think we would, yeah, I mean, we'd have to late file an amendment. I think unless the departments tell us there is an extraordinary urgency to this, I do think for just correctness and ensuring that Councilmember Taylor gets an opportunity to have eyes on this, we need to defer.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So we're gonna defer that one meeting.
This is Hannah Zeitlin. It's just a typo that our office made on this agenda that it says District 2. I believe that Toombs is on there as Budget and Finance Chair.
I'm on it as well, but in this committee, we do not pass things without the district council person on the bill.
Okay.
Yeah, Hannah, that's my concern in seeing this was that if Councilmember Taylor did not have this referred to his attention, this might reach the floor without him getting an opportunity to speak on it in committee. So I share the chair's concern here. Unless you told me that at some point he would have had the opportunity. I don't see him on the attendees list. So my thinking is he probably has not reviewed this yet.
And I'll remind the committee that last council meeting, that's why I indefinitely deferred, and it did seem to be a simple sewer easement type of thing, but there was no district person on it. I gave it two meeting of opportunities for the district person to join the bill, or for a department to claim why it doesn't have a district person on it, and so I indefinitely deferred it. Easements may seem like simple things, but oftentimes they are paramount to being able to make a difference in a development. So thank you, Councilman O'Connell, for noticing this one. And so what we're going to do is our roll call, since this is on RS 2020-649, approving an amendment to an agreement between TDOT and Metro Public Works for improvements on Jefferson Street, deferring one meeting. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Gamble.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles.
Aye.
Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers. Having every member voted, any member
Aye.
wishing to change their vote? Thank you. That is deferred one meeting. On to item number 5, BL 2019-7 by O'Connell. This is something that I've usually been catching with the council office. They've put it as District 19. Obviously, this is a countywide piece of legislation. I usually correct that, but again, I was working off my phone and so did not get that corrected on the Word document. Staff, Hannah, if you'll please make a note that y'all double check these districts before it goes out. Okay,
Absolutely.
so this, thank you. This amends the Metro Code regarding the existence of a short-term rental property owner-occupied in a two-family zoned district. I'm making a motion on the bill. Councilman Withers.
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. And for purposes of discussion, I'm moving the proposed substitute. Councilman Withers. That was a second by Councilman Withers. We can either go directly to Mr. O'Connell as a sponsor and then to Ms. Allen who has questions. Councilman O'Connell, do you have any comments?
Hang on. On this one, just so colleagues remember, we had the public hearing on this, and I mentioned I was tracking at one meeting behind the whole home rental bill, which we passed last meeting. By way of background, again, I have several constituents who live in both attached and detached duplexes, and I've been calling this the Duplex Fix Bill, where the idea here was, first, let's get a handle on the issue of whole home and frequently kind of fake owner occupied permits, but let's also, once we do that, try to restore the opportunity, which is maybe more prevalent in some urban neighborhoods, for people not to have to own both halves of a duplex. For instance, on my block, we have SPs, we have single family homes on RS parcels, we have attached and detached duplexes on RS parcels, and the people who live in the duplexes are not able to apply for short-term rental permits unless they own both halves of the duplex. And that is an uncommon scenario generally, at least again, in the neighborhoods that I represent. It is not, it's not that there are no people in that circumstance, it's just far more rare, as people, I think, have been looking for duplexes as more affordable opportunities to have an entry point into owning a home, period. And so this bill relaxes what I consider to be a too stringent requirement on the availability of permits, which, now that we have passed the previous bill that tamps down a bit on the concept of whole home sharing under owner-occupied permits, I think this is a common sense relaxation. So happy for committee discussion.
Lady Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate everyone continuing to tweak the short-term rental bills as we get more experience under our belt and find out what works and what are unintended consequences. I will point out that when we first began regulating short-term rental, we allowed permits for both sides, and those were some of the instances of big-time problems resulted from having, at that point, 24 people in a rental situation, and if they could figure out how to be next door to each other, that was a major problem. I mean, I think we have continued to see that most of the big problems do come from larger party groups. We have added some guardrails that will at least keep that number now down to 20, which is better, but 20 is still a lot. And then I would also say that we had some instances where one owner thought it was a fine idea to use their property for short-term rental, and the person immediately next door sharing a wall did not share that. And that caused some pretty big heartburn in a couple of specific instances. And so I just would caution against stepping back on something that we instituted based on experience. The Duplex prohibition was added later after we began to have some experience with that, and it seemed like a good solution to some problems that we were seeing. So I would just welcome more discussion on that.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to jump back in here if it's appropriate.
The floor is yours, O'Connell.
Thank you. And to Councilmember Allen's point, I'm content to leave this bill sort of on the table and maybe defer it out, a few more meetings so we can see if the impact of BL 2019-79 is appreciable or not. If it turns out we're still getting a number of complaints around, sort of what Councilmember Allen has alluded to, and the entire reason I brought 79 or 7 in the first, 79 in the first place, then we can run 7 at that time. But I'm happy to kind of slow this down. I did not want this to pass before 79 passed if we were considering that. But I'm happy to kind of work with codes and maybe collect a few more months worth of data if that would be to Councilmember Allen's preference.
Council Lady Allen.
I appreciate that suggestion, and I see Councilmember Parker, who's now serving on the commission, and Councilmember Withers, who has been on this journey with me longer than anyone else. I would love their input as well. But I appreciate the offer very much.
Councilman O'Connell. You said
I'd be maybe after hearing from council members Withers and Parker, I would be willing to entertain a motion to defer, and I'm flexible on the length of time there. I think this bill is still worth some discussion, but I'm happy to collect some data. And I do, to Councilmember Allen's point, now that we have a board set up and representation from council on that, I think Councilmember Parker has been actually carefully eyeing the scenarios that have been most problematic, and so I definitely value his input.
Councilman Parker.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilmember O'Connell, for bringing this forward, and Councilmember Allen for sharing some of the history of how we arrived at where we are with these rules. Am I correct, Councilmember O'Connell, that there's not really a distinction in the zoning code that we can make between, say, attached duplexes and detached duplexes that might have effectively separate yards versus an attached situation where they might share a yard, share common space, etc.?
That's my recollection as well, but I might ask Ms. Zeitlin or maybe someone from codes to speak to that.
Ms. Zeitlin.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Parker.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm asking, is there a distinction that is either made in the code or that could be made in the code between, say, attached duplex properties where, the common space is shared, maybe the driveway is shared, and the sort of more modern detached duplex properties where we're seeing, individually fenced yards and whatnot, and, of course, not an attached party wall?
I think this is more of a question for planning, so I might ask Lisa Milligan to take this question.
I know Miss Milligan was going to be late, but has she been able to join us?
I am here, Councilmember Murphy. I have joined. Hi. So, understanding your question, Councilmember Parker, no, there would not be a method by which we could differentiate between the type of duplex. The zoning code only includes one land use, and that is two-family dwelling. And so there are not different categories of two-family dwelling, and so we could not therefore add additional conditions onto something that is not defined.
Councilman, or we're back to Councilman Parker, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's I guess that's where my sort of hesitation on this one comes from is specifically the attached wall, sort of traditional duplex style where the common space is not clearly delineated. I just think that could be frustrating for some folks potentially. Now, I do appreciate that we have 79 in the hopper as well. And if I would be supportive of a reasonable motion to defer with the sponsor's support to take some time to look at this one a little bit closer.
Councilman O'Connell, we were going to have Mr. Withers speak as well. So do you want to go to, let's go to Vice Chair Withers and then to you, Mr. O'Connell. And Councilman Parker, if you're finished, will you take your hand down? Right. Vice Chair Withers, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair Murphy, and thanks to Councilmember O'Connell for bringing this bill. Most of District 6 does have two-family entitlements, all but a small area of it, and so this is an issue that I hear from both sides on, right? In terms of folks being abhorrent to the idea of having an STR next door when they have purchased one side of a duplex. Also having folks who maybe in some cases one person had already gotten a permit and was grandfathered in under the old system, and the new folks can't. So I really appreciate Councilmember O'Connell trying to come up with some common sense solutions. One of the questions that I have, and maybe Ms. Zeitlin can help us to answer, a lot of the duplexes that I have, not all, but most of them, are horizontal property regimes. And do the two family horizontal property regimes have an ability within their legal documents to allow or restrict short-term rentals? Is that still permitted by state law?
I believe so. This is Hannah Zeitlin. I believe that they can put that in the documents. I know that HOAs, I know that condo complexes, a lot of these private agreements, they are allowed to basically restrict STRPs just by agreement. And I believe that would also be the same with the horizontal property regime.
Okay.
Mr. Withers.
Thank you for that. I think that's good information. Maybe with the deferral motion, we could maybe get that verified. And also that might give us some time to work through our communications channels so that folks who might be interested in either allowing or disallowing the short-term rentals could have time to put those protections in place as they see fit. And maybe that might be a pretty fair way to do that. But other than that, I appreciate Councilmember O'Connell bringing the bill. What maybe I would suggest, since the other bill just passed, in order to give it some time, is if perhaps Councilmember O'Connell would consider a deferral, maybe of like 6 months, or maybe we could even say till July 1 for an effective date, just to give us some time to see how the other recent legislation actions are working and how they're also working through the short-term rental appeals board. But other than that, I'm supportive of the bill as long as we give folks time to prepare. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman O'Connell, just to let y'all all know, one of the reasons why I normally try to say and call on people and debate just to keep it going and calling people is also part of the electronic meeting situation, is that you either need to identify yourself or have your name called on before you're identified. So I'm sorry that I'm intending to, I try to do that anyway when we're virtual or on the floor to just keep things going, but just for a second reiteration of that. So Mr. O'Connell, are we back to you? And if you would let us know if you want us to put the proposed substitute on and
yes,
make a motion, or
let's do that. Madam Chair, if we can, what I'd like to do is move the substitute and then defer the bill as substituted to the first meeting in April and re-refer to this committee, and we can see where we are at that point.
Okay, so
this is Hannah Zeitlin.
Yeah, I just let me. Can I make the motion that we put the substitute on and that we defer it in one motion?
Yes, you can. Right, the motion can be, and you can vote on defer however many meetings as substituted. Okay. And same if you're going to approve the bill.
Perfect. Great. So, Mr. O'Connell, if you will state your motion again to approve the substitute, and then for how long the deferral you want. But before you do that, Ms. Allen, did you want to speak before we start voting on that motion?
Yes, just one thing on the timing of the deferral, and that is that I think it might provide useful information to go through some tourist time. And we may not have gotten far enough beyond the vaccine to have actually, had our tourist visitation revived. And that to me is that's the most valid information that we can receive. So I would just ask for a little reflection on the deferral date.
That's fine. I'm content to push to July in that regard. I was hoping getting through March would get us through sort of that first wave of spring tourism, but to your point, I'm comfortable catching most of spring and maybe some period of the vaccine. I mean, I know while we have seen a fall off in short-term rental activity, there's obviously still an interest from permit holders, and there does still seem to be some activity. So, but to your point, I'm content to do that. So, Madam Chair, let me state this motion. I'd like to move the bill as substituted and then defer it to the first meeting in July.
That is a proper motion that I am seconding as chair, and so I am now calling roll. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans. Gamble.
Aye.
Eager.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Giles.
Aye.
Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
Thank you. With that, Councilman, your bill is substituted and deferred. That takes us to item, that takes us to item number 6 on our agenda. BL 2025-09 Cash renames the private road Dixie Place from 21st Avenue South to Dead End as Vivian Thomas Way. I will make a motion. Councilman Withers. He seconded. Thank you. Ms. Zeitlin, have we gotten all the reports in from the emergency communications and from historic on this?
Because this is a private street renaming, this doesn't need to go through those committees. So all it needs is planning commission approval, and it has that.
Okay. And I guess, why do we have to approve private street names? I'm sorry if that seems, I feel like that's a dumb question, but I feel like it's something, if it's a private street, I'm not sure why we're doing it.
Madam Chair, if I could jump in.
Or Mr. Cash.
Thank you. I think one of the reasons is that it needs to be on the GPS mapping. It's part of a medical center and campus, hospital campus, and might get used by emergency vehicles. So I think it's important that that it be, on the GPS mapping of any maps. I know that's one of the reasons, and I think it does still have to go through planning.
Okay. No, that's fine. Learn something new every day.
And if I could take just a minute to share a little information about it, I would appreciate that.
Mr. Cash, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. So it may be clear that the street name Dixie Place is a little outdated, and I think there were some medical students who were interested in renaming the street to bring it with the times a little better. And so those medical students were on a committee and came up with, just did a little research and came up with renaming the street after Dr. Vivian Theodore Thomas, who was born in Lake Providence, Louisiana in 1910, the grandson of a slave. He attended Pearl High School with honors and graduated with honors in 29. And then he secured a job as a laboratory assistant in 1930 with Dr. Alfred Blaylock at Vanderbilt. Thomas rapidly mastered complex surgical techniques and research methodology. And in an era when institutional racism was the norm, Thomas was classified and paid as a janitor, despite the fact that by the mid-1930s, he was doing the work of a postdoctoral researcher in Blaylock's lab. Together, he and Blaylock did groundbreaking research into the causes of hemorrhagic and traumatic shock, and this work later evolved into research on crush syndrome and saved the lives of thousands of soldiers on the battlefields of World War II. And so I think it's appropriate to honor Dr. Thomas in this way and name Dixie Place rename Dixie Place after him.
Mr. Cash, what I've really enjoyed about your first year on council is how you have, and this maybe because you were a teacher in your previous life before we all came into it, but you really seem to bring us things that students have researched well. And I love that you not just have filed them, but that you share that research with us in the back history. And I really appreciate that.
Always looking out for those students.
And so let's, I see that Council Lady Van Reese's hand is up, and she is our resident, I guess I'm just going to say it. She's our resident queen on renaming. And
Yes.
so let's see how she needs to weigh in on this, because if there's any advice on renaming, Van Reese has it.
Well, thank you, Chair. I will not take up much of our time. It's all about placemaking, and I appreciate the effort. I did learn something this year that I wanted to share pass on to you, Mr. Cash, and to the committee and those listening. You mentioned that the individual was their grandfather was a slave. The proper way to say that is that their grandfather was enslaved, or that they. And if you could make a change on your note so that whenever you explain it again, that you could make that correction. I learned that last February, and so I wanted to pass that on. That the grandfather was not a slave, but rather enslaved. Thank you.
I sit corrected. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Van Reese. Council Lady Porterfield.
So much, Chair, for acknowledging me, and I will be very brief since I am not on the committee. And thank you so much, Councilman Cash, for such a interesting history on Vivian Thomas. And I just wanted to add two quick things. If you have not seen it, there's a wonderful documentary about the work that he did called "Something the Lord Made," and it is absolutely phenomenal, and it outlines the work that he's done. And he was also credited with co-creating the first surgical treatment for blue baby syndrome. So he has helped to save countless and countless lives of babies and infants. So thank you so much for bringing this legislation, Councilman Cash, and thank you, Chair, for giving me a moment to just share that.
Sure. That sounds, I think that we are in a position to renew the motion that we are on. And so with that, I will call the roll. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Gamble.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Porterfield. Nope, I'm sorry. It was because I was thinking Porterfield needs to take her hand down. Sorry. Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles.
Aye.
Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Withers. Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
Thank you. Clearly, I'm trying to get us through here. All right. So that takes us to items on third reading. Item number 12, BL 2020-195 by Sepulveda. It changes 6.06 acres from R6 to SP zoning for properties located at 4306 Goins Road to permit 121 multifamily residential units. I am Motion on the bill, Councilman Withers. A motion on the substitute, Councilman Withers.
Second.
Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question I want to bring up every time I see a large development, which is, have we looked into the school capacity of the nearby school, and is there any way for this development to contribute to the possible need to enlarge schools, if it's not already? Yeah,
Council, Miss, let's send this over to Miss Milligan. Miss Milligan, if you can report on the schools giving the Planning Commission reports on capacity.
Hi, so in the staff report, you'll see that we have provided information in regards to the number of students that could potentially created, which would be 30 additional. I will say that with the substitute, the number of proposed units is actually being decreased. And so the number of students that was anticipated would actually be lower than what is included in the staff report. And then they're indicated to, it lets you know which ones they're indicated. I just checked, and I believe that these schools all have capacity.
Thank you. Miss Allen, does that cover your question?
Thank you. That does. And I wonder if it'd be possible to include in the staff report, or maybe you do and I've forgotten. I know you tell the number of expected new students. Do you also comment on whether the schools have added additional capacity or not?
Hi, we do not. That is sort of a function of the school board. And so I have some reports that I can look at that give an estimate, but we don't include it in our planning reports because we don't have sort of someone from school here that could speak to it and explain it.
Would that be Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for not waiting. Is that something that would be possible to add without a lot of burden on school or planning staff?
Ms. Milligan.
I will need to speak with to others in my department. I can't make that determination on my own.
Okay, if you could ask that question and come back to this committee and let us know what you find out, I think that would be useful information.
Miss Allen, I'd like to second that as well. I think that's something that we've had in the past, and that I think we need to. And actually, I would love to revisit at some point if we had a way to measure EMS, fire, and police capacity as well. I know that last term I had inquired about that, and that's something we need to be thinking about in addition to schools. So with that, we are on the substitute. Miss Allen, do you have anything else on this?
No, that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bradford, on the substitute.
I'm good.
All right. Anyone else? With that, calling roll. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict. Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles.
Aye.
Toombs.
Aye.
Van Rees. Van Rees, I see you.
Sorry, my button wouldn't work. Aye. Thank you.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers. All right. With that, that's the substitute. Now I'm going to move the bill as substituted. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans. Gamble.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker. Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles.
Aye.
Toombs,
Aye.
Van Reese, Welch,
Aye.
Withers,
Aye.
Van Reese votes aye, and we'll fix her mute button. Thank you.
Thank you. The bill as substitute passes. And I just got an alert on my phone that the Rock and Roll Marathon will be canceled. I know that breaks all of your hearts because I, even though I had hip surgery, was still registered to run it. So with that, it takes us to item number 20, BL 2020-475, Roten. Changes 3.57 acres from RS15 to MULA zoning for properties located at 3728 Central.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Did we skip 256?
Oh,
that was item 13.
Just kidding. Thank you. It's because I've marked my calendar up so much. Okay, item 13, BL 2020-256, O'Connell makes provisions to 8.19 acres of a historic preservation overlay district to various properties located along Clinton Street from 16th Avenue North to 12th Avenue North. I am going to make a motion. Councilman Withers. Thank you. Council Lady Allen, your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll defer to Councilmember O'Connell if he wants to speak first, but I would like to be acknowledged at some point.
Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Still working with one of the major businesses operating in the area that has sufficient control of a property that they don't own, that they've got architectural plans to modify it. And I have, in those conversations, agreed to defer this to the second meeting in December. So I'd like to make a motion to do just that, please.
With that, I assume, Council Lady Allen, do you have anything else? Your hand is up.
Sorry, I was punching my hand instead of my thing. I appreciate the offer of deferral and would ask if before we do that, if we could just have an explanation of the difference between historic preservation overlay and a conservation zoning overlay. I just think that's
Miss Milligan. Miss Milligan.
Hi, yes. So conservation overlay and a preservation overlay are two separate types of historic overlays. The difference generally has to do with the amount of changes that can be made and the level of review that takes place. Preservation are generally a little bit more strict than conservation in regards to the number of things that are reviewed. However, do keep in mind that the guidelines that are written for each district are individual to that district. And so the guidelines are tailored to whatever is included in the district, regardless of if it's preservation or conservation.
Miss Allen.
Thank you. I appreciate that explanation. And I appreciate the sponsors saving these wonderful buildings and working with the various owners to get everybody on board. Thank you.
Mr. O'Connell, would you like to renew the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, with one brief comment, which is that we have, this has been in work across two different terms. We have shrunk the boundaries considerably, still trying to maintain consistency of kind of the idea of a neighborhood vision, but reducing the amount of objection to it. And that's what we're still doing here, even at the very end. So I think we're doing as much as we can to work in good faith with everybody out there, and appreciate Councilmember Allen's interest and the support we've had from planning and historic, and we've had a number of community meetings out in the area. So appreciate everyone hanging with me, and we'll resume this conversation in December. So with that, I'll renew my motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. On to the roll call. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
That's aye. Oh.
Aye.
Parker. Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles. Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to try number 20. Third time is the charm. BL 2020-475 by Councilman Roden. Changes 3.57 acres from RS 15 to MULA zoning for properties located at 3728 Central Pike and Central Pike unnumbered at the western terminus of Dodson Chapel Lane. I will move the bill. Councilman Withers.
Second.
Thank you. I'm moving the substitute. Councilman Withers.
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Bradford, questions? Hearing no other questions, on to the roll call. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Chair votes. Parker.
Aye.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles. Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
That was the substitute. Now for the bill as substituted.
Councilmember Murphy, this is Hannah's Island. I just wanted to say that you can do the motions together if you'd like. You can
Wonderful. We will
do
do
moving
that
approval
on
as substituted.
the next. We'll do that on the next one. So can we do that here? Because I was just simply putting the substitute on.
Yeah, I think that we might need to vote as substituted.
Okay. So as substituted, Allen.
Aye.
Benedict.
Aye.
Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Gamble.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles. Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
All right, with that, the bill is substituted and passed. We are then on looks like item number 28, BL 2020-484 by Councilman Roten. Changes 3.04 acres from R8 to MULA zoning for properties located at 4011, 4017, and 4023 Dodson Chapel Road. Motion, Councilman Withers. Thank you. I'm now motioning the substitute. Councilman Withers.
Second.
Councilman Bradford, any questions?
Again, for the record, what exactly does the substitute do?
Miss Milligan.
Hi, I believe that in this case, the substitute simply changes this to the NS district for no short-term rentals. This is a requested substitute from the council member.
Mr. Bradford, any other questions?
I'm good.
With that, I'm going to motion that we approve the substitute and move the bill as substituted for approval. Calling roll. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict. Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Gamble.
Aye.
Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles. Toombs.
Aye.
Van Reese.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
Thank you. The bill as substituted is approved. That takes us to item number 30, BL 2020-486 by Councilman Sledge. Changes 0.41 acres from CS to SP zoning for properties located at 1108, 1110, and 1114 4th Avenue South to permit non-residential Usits. Oh, I'm sorry. That one we've already done on consent. Taking us to item number 31. BL 2020-488 by Councilman Hager changes 13.20 acres from R10 to SP zoning for properties located at 725 Tulip Grove Road and a portion of property located at 703 Tulip Grove Road. Permit 58 multifamily residential units. I'm motioning the bill. Councilman Withers.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm moving the amendment. Councilman Withers.
Second.
Councilman Bradford, any questions?
Yes, if the sponsor or planning could just explain briefly what the amendment plans to do.
Ms. Milligan.
Hi, this is Lisa with planning. Looking at the packet, it looks like the amendment includes a requirement for a left turn lane no shorter than 80 feet to be constructed on Tulip Grove Road at the intersection with the proposed Tulip Springs Road to facilitate the movement of traffic into the development.
Thank you, Ms. Milligan. Is there anything else, Mr. Bradford?
Nope. Proceed.
With that, I am moving the amendment and the bill as amended for approval. Calling roll. Allen. Oh, let me go back. Mr. Withers, will you second that for the record?
Second, the motion on the bill and the amendment and the bill as amended, I guess.
And for approval. Thank you so much. Allen.
Aye.
Benedict. Bradford.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Campbell. Hager.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye. Aye.
Chair votes aye. O'Connell.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Rutherford.
Aye.
Stiles. Toombs. I think that was Council Lady Stiles.
Aye.
Down for us. Thank you. And Council Lady Toombs. Van Rees.
Aye. Van Rees votes aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Withers.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Zeitlin, did I miss anything on our agenda?
I think that's everything.
I think so too. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.